So that, by me, I have different pages than you, but in mine it's those guys. So he says, the chametz Pesach asher b'hanoah gamkein, because until now he was only talking about the Isra Achila. So the im lokin al hanoah, which is a whole big Rambam says no, and other people say yes. Ayin b'mishnah malach perik hamisi yesodi hatera halacha ches u muvo le'el b'chiburenu ve'en kan b'kom ulharach. He's not going to go into this whole big machlok because he's shown it. There's malchus and isra and not. The Rambam seems to hold that the ikir is achila, and even achila is also because of hanoah. Achila and the rest are like tafel, so you don't get malchus and hanoah, but most rishonim argue. Okay, now he says in halach dawad and os. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm reading slow because my eyes still haven't straightened out. L'kvar yadata masha pilpulu ha'achronim b'lav d'bayira. We already know this. Im chatzi shir asam and ha-Torah. There was different svaras. We had this Aymasha kasabna leil mitzvah yad aleph. This is Hashem Yisbarach. That was the whole shagas aryeh because it's not chazi mistarufe. Nearly the zed dafka im nemer the chametz shava l'shar isurin. The chatzi shir asam and ha-Torah mitam chazi mistarufe. So if the whole svar of chatzi shir is as chazi mistarufe, im kain b'chametz in bayira, you could argue l'shayach chazi mistarufe. Kamosha kasav shagas aryeh. The matters of doing that. If you learn Chazi Lestrufi the way the Shagasari learns Chazi Lestarufi, that this, if you eat a little bit now and you eat the rest in the Achilos Pras, the Isser is going to be from the beginning. But by Yerah, it's not going to be from the beginning. Even if you're starved for later, it's from then on, so it's not called Chazi Lestrufi. Im Kain, Ein Asr Min HaTorah, according to, if the whole Isra of Chatzi Shir is Chazi Lestrufi, so Shagasari says, it's probably Gabi by Yerah, it's not Chazi Lestrufi, so it's not Chatzi Shir Asr Min HaTorah. Oh, as far as the Chacham Tzvi, that holds the whole din of Chatzi Shir is only by Achila, the Daf can be Sir Achila, Asra Torah Chatzi Shir, so by Yerah isn't an Isra Achila, so there's no din of Chatzi Shir. Aval Adas, a Rambam that brings a special pasuk by Chametz, the HaTorah Kosva Kan, the Chatzi Shir Aser, Kasavnu the after Loha. So he says, so the Meforshim asks, why do you need a pasuk? Rambam himself passes the Kol Torah Kula Chatzi Shir is Aser in Torah. So some is showing the same Meforshim, the Rambam is saying he brought it. The after Lo Chazi Listarufe. The Chiddush of the pasuk is that even where it's not Chazi Listarufe, Gezeres Hakasahu, the Chain Kasav Tzlach, and Tzlach is the case would be the last minute right before Pesach is over. If you would eat it and it's not, you don't have a time of Achilas Pras to be mitzvah or anything else. So even though it's not Chazi L'Strufi, it's a pasuk. The Chatzi Shir is also in Torah. No, he says clearly, "Un Yishvi Shal Pesach, the Achal Kolam Alay LeChatzi Shir, the Lo Chazi L'Strufi, Mikol Makom Astra Torah BeChametz." It's a special pasuk for Chatzi Shir by Chametz. Oh, Eza Teretz Acher. So even if you don't like the Slach's case, but he says whatever Teretz you're going to say, there is a special pasuk by Chametz, the Chatzi Shir is also in Torah. I'll call upon him. Kan Xeris Akasav. So you might have other reasons why you need Xeris Akasav, but it is Xeris Akasav, and it's not the Svar of Chazi L'Strufi. Im Kan Didan the Kaim Lanke Beis Hillel, the Zeb Bik Zayas, that's Seor and Chametz is Bik Zayas. Batam Dielfinin Biur Meachila, because the homophobic Beishamis Beis Hillel is Lagabi Bayira, and Beis Hillel holds Biur has the same din, meaning getting rid of your chametz is the same din as achila. I am beya. Im kain galin chatzi shir. So even though the extra pasuk the Rambam brings is by achila, but he's saying according to Beis Hillel that you learn a hekesh between Biur and getting rid of your chametz and achila. Im kain galin in chatzi shir yalfinin Biur min achila, because he holds the kamo achila of chatzi shir aser. After lo shayin chazi l'strufi to chol yisur and kosher kasavnu, because it become a gzeres akasavi. Im kain l'inyan ba'yirah. Why shouldn't the hekesh tell you that by ba'yirah there's a chatzi shir also? Im kain l'inyan ba'yirah gam kain. Bishlam yamrinu chametz shava l'shari surim. Im kain achila rak mitzad hasvara of chazi l'strufi like moshari surim. Only shum the chazi l'strufi. Other as far as the way say Chatzi Shir is Asim in Torah. You can lo shayach makushi by Yerah al achila. So it's not So it's a general din of Yisur Achila, so there's not a hekesh to Bayira. Ki Bayira lo shayach svaras hanal, and those are svaras by Achila. Abu Rambam, the kind kasva Torah mefurish, the din of Chatzi Shir by Achila. A clerk of Sarach Lama, the Yolfinim Yam, it's not a general rule, it's a special rule by Chametz. Rak Zer Sekasav, he Apagav the lo shayach svaras hanal. Ubefrat with Masha Kasav, no the Lord Sarach Svar Chazilis Terufe. Because you're over even without chazir strufe. In Kain Gamlin in Bayira, keeping the Elfin and Beer Machila, according to Beisol, is Xer Shava, Beer Machila, Shava Lagamri Lachila. He says Xer Shava should make it mamish equal without, because it's not a svara. Apagav the Shach Svara now, become Aser, Kamachila, Be Elfin Lagamri, Beer Machila, Kain near Lapiani Staiti, Dog Besikha. That is Xer Shava routine. Bayira and Achila, so whatever is Aser by Achila is Aser by Bayira.
So the whole Shagasari is Navajo.
Right. Well, anyway, the Shagas, I don't know if the whole Shagasari is going with this Xeris Akasa Pasuk. Maybe he's going like all the Rishonim.
He's going, right.
Is a regular
right.
din.
Right.
I don't understand it's that well. I mean, according to most Rishonim, according to the Sum of Pshat and the Pasuk, the Torah was machmir by Bayira. You don't have like the Gemara says you never have the dinim of Bayira by other Yisurim and other Yisurim. So the Torah was machmir by chametz because chametz is karas, and you might come to and you're used to eating it all year round, so you might come to eat it. So the Torah said Bayira. So if you learn Bayira, it's like sort of like a harchaka that the Torah made. So even if Pasha Shad the Harchak is on where there's a Chiyuv Karas. In other words, even if you hold there's a pasuk of Chatzi Shir of Chametz is Aser, it's certainly not Karas. It's certainly it's not even Lab. It's just the din of Chatzi Shir they learn out of a pasuk. So I don't know, even though it's a Hekesh, but the Hekesh could be to Chametz of Karas. You know, it's because the whole idea of the Bayira is so you shouldn't come to Karas. So I don't know if you make a hekesh just like over there, Chatzi Shir is Aser. Maybe there also Gufel Chatzi Shir is Aser, also Harchaka. It's a special pasuk that we're going to say. I don't know. There's a special pasuk. Maybe that's the whole thing. It's Chametz, it's Chomer. And Bayira is the same svara, so maybe it's only a Chomer atu coming to the Kazayas. But I hear it's not. I'm not tiny strong. I'm just saying that you could be Mechalik, but he's saying, but it's a Xer Shava. Even if no svaras apply, it's a Xer Shava to even the din of Chatzi Shir by Achila, and I don't know what the Xer Shava applies to.
But he's saying he has a Davar Pashut that you should apply the Xer Shava, and you're basically saying.
I don't know if the Xer Shava is to back din of Chatzi Shir. The Xer Shava is to the general. This is the rights of Achila's Chametz of Karas. It's not time to
and extends it to Bayira. Because of the Hil's Chametz of course.
I haven't learned Psachim in a long time, and I forget a lot of things. But I remember that there's a whole machlokas by even if you hold Chametz Nukshas deraisa, but there's no karas. But there's a whole big machlokas Rishonah. There's Bayira, Minatorah, and those kinds of chametz that even if you hold that they're deraisa. And there's no, it's only allowed though, and it's not, you don't say
it's only the chametz has in this occurrence that there's Bayira.
That there's Bayira, but it's a shalom rishonim, but it's certainly if it's a hekesh, what's the difference if there's an Isra Achila, because it's not a hekesh to the stam all the.
But it's a different Isra Achila. Chametz actually is a different Isra Achila.
Yeah, but if it's Bayira, it's only hookish to the Isra Achila of. I mean, this is Chatzi Shir, but it's also different. It's part of the. Okay, I hear the tefillah, but it's not so pushing to me. But anyway, that's what he's saying. Well, if he's there, and he says if you and he's only saying this in Beis Hillel, because they hold of this hekesh between beer and chilul. Well, if he's a new cholomar, the nolad od plukta. It'll come out another machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel Hanal. Beis Shammai disarvei sor bekazayas v'chametz bekosavas d'lo yelfin and beer me'achila, because their whole machlokas is l'gabe beer. Im ken chatzi shir havei mutter min Torah. D'meheti teisa ala iser. because it's not the svara of chatzis l'strufi doesn't apply by Bayirah, and the hekesh doesn't apply because certainly achilus b'kazayus, and he's saying they hold that there's no hekesh because they're mechalik by beer between sori and chametz. Right, sori is b'kazayus, but chametz is b'kosavus, so they don't make this hekesh. So he says that you don't have a hekesh according to Rishon between beer and achila. After nema k'mo b'chol Torah the aser. I'll say, but there's, even without the extra pasuk by chametz, but still you have the svara of kol Torah kulos chazik l'strufei. Iko mirchi sham gabi chayil shay chazik l'strufei. Chametz atzmo gam ken b'yosef after dafka b'sirei achila l'achshvek as far as the chacham svi. Even by that's one svara that doesn't apply by Yerov because there's no ashvei. So, or he could have said the other svara too. There's no chazik l'struf, I guess. Avol beis held the alfin beer me'achila inyan shei shir pachos. So there should be a hekesh where he's learning chatzi shir too. Hachinami alfin l'kol ha'enyani inyan chatzi shir anami. Just like you don't learn a kosavus, you learn it's a xeris a kosav that Bayirah is b'kazayis. Yim ken lebeis hol chatzi shir le'inyan Bayirah nami osir min haTorah. Kivin de gabi achila chametz achilas chametz chitcha Torah chatzi shir osir avagav de lo yalfinu me'alma, because there is a pasuk hachinami yalfinu le'inyan beer. That without the svaras, chatzi shir is also k'mod yalfin and shir cotton. Just like they still learns out the shir is not a kosevus like peshami, but the shir is a gazayas. That's the hekesh. The ayin sham bebeya ubetosis, and I don't know what we're referring to by tosis. Doesn't say over here. Okay, so he says in the bottom, he says the Maram Chalava says that according to the Beis Hill, the Yalfinim Beer Miachila Lomdim Afla Isser Chatzi Shir Bebal Hiroy. So he says it's the Maram Chalava Kishem She'asser Ba'achila Afal Pi Shadaita She'isser Chatzi Shir Ba'achila is not a special pasuk. It's also a pasuk only because the argument din of Chatzi Shir is also in a Torah. Maram Chalaba says even so, it's still a Gzera Shava, so Chatzi Shir is also by Bayirah. I mean, the Minchas Chinuch is only saying if Chatzi Shir is a Gzera Sakasav, nothing to do with the Svar B'Yalma. So then you make the Hekesh to Bayirah too. But he says, Maram Chalaba says, even if Chatzi Shir is not a special pasuk, it's the regular argument din of Chatzi Shir is also in a Torah, but the Hekesh still tells you that by Bayirah, Chatzi Shir is Aser. Biur Achronim, I'm just reading what he says over here. Biur Achronim B'Tama Davar, Shashem Svara Ein Makar to say Chatzi Shir should be Aser Bayirah. B'Kol Makom Kiven Shageder Yisira Hu Kadesh Lo Yochlenu, just the opposite of what I was saying. Kol Mash Aser B'Chila Aser Ach B'Bal Yirah. And I was saying just the opposite. It's not Hachaka of Chatzi Shir, it's Hachaka of Kazayas, but they're saying it's sir, whatever is Aser to eat due to Herchak of Chatzi.
But you argue because it was tied to Karas.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Yeah. So he's saying, but is he saying like the Shagasari that if even if it's Chatzi Shir B'Yasir because of Chazal Yisrufe, the Svar wouldn't apply.
But it's still the Hekesh.
So the Hekesh tells you to tell you that the Svar apply. Like
I don't know what he means. He just says the Hekesh is a Hekesh and has the same din.
Right. Is that the reason for Chatzi Shir because of Chazal Yisrufe?
According to one man dimmer. I mean, the Gemara says why is Chatzi Shir also in a Torah?
Right.
One man dimmer. I don't know if it's different man dimmer. One more says E boy saying that because Chazal the Svar of Chatzi Yisrufe.
Right.
One man says it's exerts a cusp of kol chaylev. It says kol.
Right.
Chaylev and kol is mar b'chatzi.
Chatzi Shir.
Chatzi Shir.
So it's not doing the Chazal Yisrufe.
Pashtus. Could be that's what the Gzer Shava. According to him, where you need the Gzer Shava to be Mechadish.
So
he says on the bottom that some people say that even if by Yirah is also Chila, he call Makom L'Huksha El L'Iker Isra Chila. That was my time, right?
Yeah.
So he brings two. Okay. He brings both shittas. Okay.
No, I think you know the Ramban. I showed this to you once inside by his machlokes the Rambam about the Isser of Arias, where the Rambam holds that anything is Asur D'Oraisa, and the Ramban holds only the B is Asur D'Oraisa.
Not Kiryat Basar.
Not Kiryat Basar, it's only through Ramban. But I showed you that the Ramban actually says either it's Rabban or it's Chatzi Shiur.
Chatzi Shiur. You show me once that the Kiryat Basar is like a Chatzi Shiur.
So I was just.
I don't think he means the din of Chatzi Shiur. I think he means
but
the type of Inyan.
Right, but if if you say, but then it's obviously not. It's not an Inyan of Chatzi Tzrufe. He seems to be saying that Chatzi Shiur, there's some Inyan that there's still an Isser. Right. Although.
You told me that when you showed me that. It's still a big killer, so there should be that should be called Chesed.
And no one, because I was learning today. You know, we're learning the Hilchos Nida, you know, the issue of a rofe not touching his wife and so forth and so forth, and the whole shach there, and the Beis Yosef versus the shach, and you see the Ramah, and the Beis Yosef says he says the Ramban says that
Kiryat Basar is the Rabban.
Therefore, that's why the Ramban says that if there's a kana, then the rofe can take care of his wife. But the Beis Yosef says, but I'm not sure according to the Rambam because it's
like a Mizrahi.
Right.
So this is the right
but you see that they all learned the Ramban to say that it's all Rabbanan.
But you said but the Ramban himself says it could be it's an Inyan of Chatzi Shiur D'Oraisa.
Yeah,
it's not so he also says it could be a Rabban.
Right.
He says that
unless is he implying is the implication that Chatzi Shiur would not be an Isser. I mean, is an indication of if you held that Chatzi Shiur was this Isser Rabban, would that be under Yeher Val Yavor? You know what I mean?
And that's also because a lot of people say that Chatzi Shiur is a general Isser, it's not a specific Isser. It's general Isser of Chatzi Shiur, so then it wouldn't be a din of Arayas. Just like the Rishonim say that Lifnei Iver by Arayas is not a din of a Bizrayat Avodah Zarah because it's a general din. Yeah. It's a general din, so it could be Chatzi Shiur. The concept of Chatzi Shiur also is not an Arayas din.
Yeah.
But anyway, you see from those shittas over there that they hold Nida is the race of the din of Yarav Yavar. There's a lot of a portion that hold Nida is not the
not din Yeher Val Yavar.
Right.
Really? Everything. Okay. I didn't know that. Really, but they. Wow.
It's a shadow because Nida is in the Parsha Arayas.
Right, but it's on a mamzer. I mean,
but it doesn't make a mamzer. Kedushin or Tosin, so there's different rules. So there's a whole sugya, whole shal and achronim if Nida is a Yarag Baal Yaver. So the whatchamacallit, you know, Chavetz Chaim in a lot of his svarim, he has all kinds of different svarim. Yeah. He says Dover Pasha that Nida is Yarag Baal Yaver. But there's.
I mean, that seems to be from. I mean, you see from the like just from what I'm reading of the Shach, the Beis Yosef and you know.
There are definitely achronim that say it's not Yarag Baal Yaver. It's Isser. Just like you say, you don't call, Tosa says, Eirech is not Yisurin. The Fakir, the whole source of Eirech and Yisurin is from Nida. And it's not considered a Rayas. Tosa says there's a Havamid, it would be a Rayas. The Pasuk, but it's really Tosa says it's Eirech and Yisurin. He says it's not called a Rayas. When it comes to Eirech, it's not called a Rayas. The question is, what is it a Rayas for now? So the main sheet that it's not a Rayas, there's a sefer called Shalos Achulas Pnei Yeshua. It's not written by the Pnei Yeshua that we're familiar with, but it's his grandfather, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right, someone bigger.
Okay.
He says over there, what I remember, he's the one that says clear that it's not Yarag Baal Yahweh. But there's other sheets too. There's a whole a lot of sforim that speak about it, but in one of the Sitz Eliezer's, I could really look up my notes. He has a whole chula. He brings all the sheets that hold. It's really not.
Not Yarag Yavar.
It's not Yarag Baal Yavar. It doesn't have a din of Arayas like others. Because you see, It's a mix. It's in the parish of Arayas,
right,
and it doesn't have the din of Arayas.
Right.
That's a chiyuv paris.
Right.
You see Kedusha Ner Tosin, doesn't make a mamzer, and you see it's ate up and then be certain. It's not called.
It's always bothered by ate up and that's what it's because it would seem to be like a din yutzin or something like that. It's going to need 2 items. But it's not. It's ate up and then be certain. That's interesting.
Joseph says there's a havamina that you might have thought it was an error because of part of Rise, but the Maisa, he says that's the whole source for the din of Eid HaChabisur.
Right. So according to Rabbi, that's interesting because you'd have an issue according to Rabbi Akiva, right, who holds it is a mamzer, then you might have to argue that he would hold Zerg Yavar.
Yeah, certain people say according to Akiva, Ochai will have an Agar Yavar because he holds they all will have a din of Rise, of Kedusha Ner Tosin.
By all the
that wherever Akiva holds, it's different sheets than exactly where he holds it, but the regular lab he holds Kedusha Ner Tosin.
Also,
some say even Isser essays.
He doesn't hold the bloods of mamzer,
if he holds wherever Kedusha Ner Tosin, the bloods of mamzer. The style is where he holds Kedusha Ner Tosin.
Because that's his argument also that it's not Chopsin by Nida, so it's right. Wow. That's okay. That's something. Well,
but it's not some wild sheet that there's the poskim use it because there's a lot of achronim that hold it's not the din of Arab. The Chafetz Chaim says clearly he doesn't bring a shala, and a lot of his I don't know about Mishra, but certainly in a lot of his storim he says it's Yarab Yaver, but you have to look at that Sitz Eliezer. He brings a lot of shitas. But the most famous one is this Pnei Yoshua. That says it's not.
No, that's. I could understand the argument because Nida is obviously different, but they.
So they have to have rise.
But in all the discussion, like in the Shulchan Aruch, in the discussion there, it seems to be.
The Shulchan, they certainly hold it's a rise.
They clearly are all. I mean, the Beis Yosef says basically.
According to the Rambam, there's a Mizraida, Vodazara, and
there's a Sagadas of Hashras. I mean, that's just just take the wife's pulse. It's like it's really. I mean, the Shach really is upset about that, but it's really. Okay. There's something that's. Okay, so the discussing Sitz Eliezer, so I try.
He brings the shittas. He doesn't. I think he himself is. I'm not 100% sure. I think he himself is machriya the halacha l'maisa. You shouldn't shade it like a rayas.
You shouldn't.
It's not considered a rayas because he has a whole bunch of shittas
really?
that say it's not a rayas.
Wow.
But I'm not 100% sure. But he certainly brings shittas that it's not a rayas. So the main one is I think the Pnei Yeshua.
Yeah.
And I saw once even in the Rishon it says clearly it's not the Arab Yavar, but I don't remember where. Probably have it written down in my notes.
Wow. That's
okay. Klal B'Kitzur, that's what we're up to, right?
Right.
But just what time is it? Because I don't want to.
Right. 8:59.
So we have time. Okay. Klal B'Kitzur. So now he's going to repeat the whole thing probably. The Lo Haya Kan Limud Chadash of a special pasuk the Chatzi Shir is Aser. Rak. We would have the general limud of Kol Tarkula, which is from the pasuk of Kol Chelav. Shakasa tells us Yuma Amin Ayin Dalman Aleph. The Lo Yalfin and Shar Yisurim Me Chelav. Rak Mishum the Chazi L'Strufi, because the problem is Chelav is chorus. How could he learn other Chavilavin? So he said because it's only a Gili in the Surah of Chazi L'Strufi, even if you're darshing the pasuk Kol Chelav. Im Kain Mitzad Asfar Marbin Kol Yisurim. Im Ken Chametz Yalfinin Me Chelav Mitzad Chazi L'Strufi. And then he could argue about Yirah Lo Shayach Zeh, because it's not Chazi L'Strufi according to the Shagasari. After Yalfinin Beer Me'achilu Inyan Shiur Katan, the Yitzhana Kosevas like Beishami, so beer is also on the Kazayas. Mikal Makam Linyan Chatzi Shir the Chametz Atzram in Mitzad Asfara Yalfinin Me Chelav. The Heich of the Lo Shayach Asfara Kegon Linyan Bal Yirah Chatzi Shir is Mutter. He's just repeating what he said before. But Kibun de la Rambam Gezeres HaKosavi after Lo Shayach Asfar Amrin Kan Gazra HaTorah and Kan Kibun Yalfin and Beer Me'achila Yalfin L'Kol Mili below Asfar Dechazi L'Strufi Kibu Chametz Aser Gam came below Sfara Dok the Tishkaf and he just repeated what he said before. Aval Beis Shammai the lo yalfi shir miyut, because he says chametz is a kosavos. You don't learn beer from achila. Rak abi bayirah tzarach shir yoser the kosavos. Hu hadin in pachas mikshir. There's no gzera shava after bachila aser pachas mikshir, because you have the pasuk of kol chayil the general aser. We call makom kan tzarach shir yoser, and you can't learn out beer from. Just like you don't learn the sheer cotton from of Kazayas, you don't learn how to do the Chatzi Shir also, and the Torah doesn't apply. Is that borer or pashut? It's clear to him. Im kain near ladas aramim the yal of Chatzi Shir milo yeachel, because it doesn't say lo yachel, it says lo yeachel. So over the gamin by Yerah, Chatzi Shir is also in a Torah the yalfinin meachila the kaim one kabeis hillel kach nera li. The Gam, he says, Balav Hachi, Goose, Loris, Ashagasari, the Bayirah, and consider Chazi Latrufe, the Lain Bayirah, Lo Shach Chazi Latrufe, He Lo Shach Kadei Achilas Pras, the Ainu over Lamafreya, because this whole story was by eating from the beginning to the Kadei Achilas Pras. It starts when you end up eating the Kazayas, you're over from the very beginning, but by Bayirah, you're only over Mikan al Haba when you end up having the Kazayas. He says, Aini Mavin. He says, I don't understand so good the Shagas are Yispara. Dilma Mistarif Aplazman Meruba. Maybe it's Mistarif even for Zman Meruba. Why? In other words, you don't need Kedei Achilas Pras to the Din of Tzirut. The Gazer Akasa Shalo Yeh Kazayas Chametz B'Shuso B'Pasach. The Torah says you can't have the Kazayas in Pesach. V'imhaya Chatzi Zayas B'Tchilas Pesach V'Nisraf V'Achar Chayolo Od Chatzi Zayas. After he says the over, he says maybe you are Mitzarefet, and that's enough to be called, even though it's not Lamafreya. But who says you need Lamafreya to be the Shagas Aretz where it was? It's only Mikan al-Haba. He's saying that I think he means to say that who says that you need Lamafreya? Maybe that's called Chazi Lastruv. If you have a Chatzi Zayis now, even if it's not around later, and you have a Chatzi Zayis later, could be it's Mitzdarif. I don't think he means to say. Could be he means to say it's even Lamafreya, but even without Lamafreya, I think he means that could be that's enough to be called Chazi Lastruv. I know there's people that go so far to say, I think the Pri Megadim says that Chazi Lastruv just means like you understand that he says even if you have a Chatzi Zayis and there's no other comments around, and it's not shaykh to him, it's starif, he says it's still called Chazi L'Srufi. The very fact that if you would have another Chazi, that's called Chazi L'Srufi. So obviously the shaykh, but he's not even timing that. He's timing this could be that is Chazi L'Srufi, because you could get a Chazi Zayas later.
Because what the Shagazari is saying is until there's a whole Kazayas, there's no Isser. So the fact they have a whole half of Kazayas is around.
Right.
It like
that can't be part of this. So that's Shagas Ari Svar. That you have a guy that can't be part of this. Well, this will only start when you get the whole thing.
Right, but it's part of the issue because if you get another half Kazayas, it makes it part of the issue. But that's not allowed.
Right.
Right. But that's what right. Right. So I find with the way he's understanding it though, is I don't think the Shagasari would ever see it that way.
But he's arguing, I think, on the Shagasari's understanding of Chazi L'Strufa. He's saying
on the very issue that you have a Chatzi Shir one day, then it's burnt, and the Chatzi Shir the next day. That's the Isser. That I can't see that for sure. The Shagasari doesn't think like that.
Yeah. Well, he's saying he's arguing with the Shagasari. He's agreeing with Chazi. He says, who says as far as like the? That's
a fascinating svara. I mean, you can't have. I mean, his whole idea is that you can't have a kazayas of chametz, even in little bits, throughout Pesach. Once you have that's
because it could even start with another kazayas even
but you
2 days later.
Like the whole point.
But he's saying, who says you need it? He says, could
but
be.
In the achila.
Well, he's going to bring you right in cases where we say this kind of chatzi l'strufa. Look what he says.
Yeah.
Chatzi Zayas v'tchilas Pesach v'nisra v'achar chayalo od Chatzi Zayas after the over. He says after it is kamot sirif. He says just like we say by Meila. He says by Meila you say if you do pachos mipruta now and you do a pachos mipruta later, and you can be mitzaref. We find cases of sirif of Sirach. So he says, "V'chein b'melecha Shabbos."
Okay.
I don't know the case of melecha Shabbos. Ayin pri megadim b'psicha. B'tzarech l'yin. So he's saying there are cases. I thought the pri megadim says chotzi l'strufi the way I told you. Chotzi l'strufi means since technically, even if it's not going to be mitzaref later on, but since it's part of this amount, of, just a simon that the Torah didn't want even fancy. Right. But here he's not saying that. He's saying we find cases in the Torah where you're mitzaref a little bit now and a little bit
and the little bit that's now is no longer existent.
Right. He says by Mila, saying about him where we find it by Mila. It says I am Mila Yidal, but I don't have over here.
No. It doesn't say where.
Here he has a thing. I just said it. My site is slow. 1 second. The bigger divrei hashagasari dafka the meila she isra huma shenena umal bebasar hakdash mitzdarfim shnei hamaisim l'shir shalem. So if your nena once a chatzi pruta and then later on your nena another chatzi pruta, so where the isra is the hanoah, so you ended up having hanoah of a pruta. Havika also call Maisa Isra because he ended up having hanoah from a pruta. Avalagabi Bayira ain't over Isra al Yidei Maisa. It's not because you did a Maisa. Eladesha Yesh that's lo Kazayas Chametz because you have it. In lo hayolo Kazayas Yachad ain't over Isra Torah. He says by Mila is different. I heard that's a nice chiluk.
Who said that?
He just says it on the bottom of something like it. There's a little note who says it, but that's too small print. Maybe it's a 63. He says the Pite Mincha. I think that's Rav Gifter.
That's why I always understood Chazay's roof there. The fact is the Maisa is with a whole Kazayas.
That's what the Shagasari held.
Yeah, right.
But who told the Shagazar that? That's what they're tiny. That how goofy you need a raya for. I mean, even on the bottom, he's saying that's what the Shagazar holds. But I mean, that's so pashut.
But this argument that you can't have. I mean, it would seem to be the Bayura is having a kazayas of chametz on Pesach. But what he's saying is that any time over this time period, you can't have kazayas. It's.
He's saying that's what happens by Mila.
Right, but then
you have the stilik of the person on bottom.
Right,
okay, but it's not that pasha. These are sorts that make you looking,
right.
But it's not so pasha.
Right.
But I'm saying even more. If you learn Chazi the Strufi the way the Pri Megadim learns, then the whole shakas, it's a whole different understanding of what Chazi the Strufi means according to Pri Megadim. He's saying even if it's not going to be the starf, it's also called Chazi. I mean, these people, the slack that says you need the pasuk by chametz for the case where it's the last minute of Pesach. He also learns you need a chatzilus trufi, but according to the Pri Megadim, in that case you wouldn't need a special pasuk for it either. The Torah asks for chatzi shir because generally it's chatzilus trufi, not because in this particular case it's chatzilus terufi.
That's what, but it's like you need to have chametz there in order to get the other half chametz. So the argument is that it's if it's retroactive. Then
it's part of this.
But according to the Pri Megadim, I can see the Shagasari agreeing with the Pri Megadim, but still says the Yisra only begins after the whole Kazayas is there. So
but the Pri Megadim isn't learning Chazilus Trufi this way. The Pri Megadim, the way I remember the Pri Megadim, he's learning Chazilus Trufi as possible as long as it's
right.
It's just a simon that when you're mitzdarf, every part is usher. So Torah asher the chatzi shir.
Right, it has nothing to do with the
being the mitzvah or renown or anything. Even it's nothing to do with his story either. That you can mitzdarf different times. Right. You don't need a syrup. You don't need even a syrup whatsoever.